Hi, this is Lisa, and you are listening to I Love That Movie. This podcast is for movie lovers. It's not an unbiased opinion, it's not a straightforward review, it's just a couple people talking about a movie that they love. The format is each week I have a guest, and that guest and I discuss a movie that they love, something they're obsessed with, something they connect with. We'll talk about the plot, the director, and the actors, but we'll also talk about the personal connection my guest has with that movie. So if that sounds like something you want to listen to, keep listening. Hey, this is Lisa, and you can catch up with me on Twitter. I am at ILTM Podcast. I'm also on Instagram at I Love That Movie Podcast. And we have a Patreon. The show is always free, but if you want to support us on there, you can. That's at patreon.com/I Love That Movie. And if you like, if you want to support the show for as little as $1 a month, you get bonus episodes of everything else that I'm watching that week. So in addition to the regular show, you get, sort of like a weekly roundup of everything that I'm watching. Right now, we're doing interviews on every single episode of She-Hulk. We've done Loki. We've done a lot of the Star Wars shows. So we have a lot of fun over there. And I want to take a moment to thank my top patrons. They are Chris Valga, Jeff Woodman, Philip Barker, Michael Cross, and Josh Johnson. Thank you guys so much for keeping the lights on. And if you like what you hear today, please subscribe and rate the show. It does help new listeners find us. Well, I have a couple returning voices and a new voice on the show. I've got Danny and Liz, and then also Albie from the Mocky Horror Picture Show. Hi, y'all.
Hey.
Hello.
Hey, thanks for having us.
Yes, thank you so much for coming on. Would y'all, in case they haven't heard you, we've done one other episode with the Mocky Horror Picture Show, but in case they haven't heard that episode, would y'all mind introducing yourselves a little bit?
Yeah, I'll go first. I'm Danny Gallagher, co-creator, writer, performer, caterer of the Mocky Horror Picture Show, which I created with Liz Barksdale, also in the Folding Chairs comedy troupe. And you can follow all my writing comedy work at dannygallagher.net and on the social media.
Oh, and yeah, I'll go. I'm Liz. I work on Mocky Horror Picture Show with Danny, and just do various things around town. Not much right now. Doing a show at Stomping Ground Theater on September 30th. So I'll just give Stomping Ground a quick shout out because they're a cool place. But yeah.
And I'm Albie, the newest member of Mocky Horror, and I was thrilled to join. Big lifelong lover of movies, and specifically love horror movies, but just movies in general. I'm a voice actor and narrator, and I'm the host of the Scare Me podcast.
Awesome. Thank you guys so much for coming back, and Albie, welcome. So we're doing the show a little bit different. As y'all know, usually my guest picks a movie, but I'm sort of, getting the benefit of a live performance here that Danny and the crew are doing. So the movie's already pre-selected, essentially. We're talking about I don't know, would we call this a cult classic now, Mac and Me?
I think you could.
I just call it a cult.
A Paul Rudd started cult.
Yes.
Well,
I don't know if you call it a classic. I guess it's a classic if you want to meet that definition.
This seems to be a movie that a lot of people like in the category if it's so bad it's good. Although I've run into a couple of people that genuinely like it, but it's kind of a rare thing.
Well, when I mentioned that, people might want to do some research and watch this, there were a couple voices in the group, like Sarah Ragsdale. She said that she really enjoyed this one. So
I love Sarah Ragsdale. Sarah Ragsdale is the best.
She really is. She really is.
Until you find out she liked Mac and Me.
That's something we have to talk about later.
I keep telling, I tell everyone that we're doing this show, and the movie is not very good at all. But when I was a small child, I watched it after I saw E.T. and I was like, oh, Mac and Me is better because it doesn't have a bittersweet ending.
Oh,
Sorry, spoilers. So
You just hurt Danny there. Are you okay, Danny?
No, I'm fine.
no, but I wonder how much
It
is like
has-
nostalgia goggles, because I do have fond memories from when I was little.
It has it has bittersweet endings. They're just all in the middle of the movie.
That's true. That's many,
it's
many.
really is.
it's not just it can't just be the nostalgia thing though, because I saw this in the theater when it came out and I was pretty young, and it was a
Oh, you
time in my
did?
life when I liked everything I went to see, and I left there thinking this movie was garbage. And I thought they were just trying to copy E.T. E.T. likes, he likes Reese's Pieces, so they give Max Skittles. And there's something for everything in E.T. and I hated it so much. And now I can definitely at least enjoy it because it is very funny, unintentionally, but yes, it's very hugely
Right.
entertaining movie.
Yes.
I agree. As someone who still has an ET poster, and loves ET very much, it stings a little bit to hear that childhood Liz likes Mac and Me better. But I'm starting to grow an affinity for this movie, so I did not see it in theaters. But with that, I will say that these conversations that we have, they're never spoiler free. Not that anyone is concerned about spoilers in Mac and Me, but I'd suggest seeing it first and then coming back here. We're certainly not the first to cover it. There's a great episode of How Did This Get Made?
Yeah.
I think there's also an MST3K episode.
Yep.
My
And then
favorite
again,
episode.
you can watch. Yes, so good.
Oh, just FYI, we are going through that, and none of our jokes will be repeats from that.
Oh, I have the utmost faith in y'all. I mean, I've
Yes,
seen you
yes.
live, and you're very funny, and I can't wait to hear your take on it. And I think that's going to be so wonderful. By the way, that's October 6th, right?
Yep.
Right.
Okay, so
9:15 p.m. Texas Theater
yes,
in Oak Cliff.
please check out the
TexasTheater.com.
links. In Texas Theater just won Best Theater in Dallas again, I think.
Yep.
Oh, nice.
Readers poll
Yeah, it
at
really
the
is awesome.
Dallas Observer. It's a great theater. I was there last night to watch another favorite. Some people can say it's so bad it's good. I think it's intentionally good. Killer Clowns from Outer Space.
Yes, I think I own that.
With I hadn't been to them because of the pandemic. We haven't been to movies people are going back, but I hadn't been to a midnight movie since before the pandemic.
Oh, that's so nice.
And I'm sitting in the back and I have my drink and and these guys are like talking and I'm like, shut up. And then the movie gets going and everybody in the theater is talking and I'm like, oh, that's right. That's why we watch this movie. So we can root for people to die.
Well, I'm sorry you had that experience.
No, it was good. It turned out good. I forgot what midnight movies are like. It's like
That's
you go to
true.
midnight movies, so
It's
you can
a different
yell.
vibe.
You can yell, "Don't go in there!" All that stuff.
I think the last midnight movie I went to was Reanimator. It was like 2 years ago.
Oh, that's a fun one.
Yeah, it
I
was
love
really fun.
Reanimator.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But back to this movie. Let me give a synopsis. It is one sentence. So
It's E.T.
I could just say it's
It's
E.T.
E.T.
It's a young terrestrial separated from its family, stranded on Earth, sounding familiar still, finds friendship with a boy in a wheelchair. I think that's
It's
biggest-
E.T. if E.T. had a concussion.
My
really-
one-page
yeah.
synopsis is a fast food restaurant produces a movie that copies another movie.
And a cola conglomerate.
Yeah, everyone get out their Coca-Colas and McDonald's hamburgers. So before we kind of dive in a little bit further, I like to give a few, quick facts about the movie. So I've got just 3 here
Let's hear them.
that I want to
Okay.
share.
Yeah.
They're brilliant facts I found on IMDb. But so yeah, you guys have already talked about this a little bit, but Coca-Cola and McDonald's back the movie. Big surprise there.
No.
So there's numerous references to both these products. Isn't the classic story with ET that they actually passed on going with M&M or something like that? And
Oh no, I
I
never
hadn't
heard
heard
that.
that.
or that M&M passed on them, and so they went.
M&M is kind of a little obvious.
Yeah.
Reese's, I don't know what it is. Like
I
know
think they
Reese's
went to
Pieces
Reese's
probably
because it was like the B
Yeah.
plan.
Oh,
Well,
I
it
hadn't
worked out
heard that.
great. I don't know.
Yeah.
I know it's still like a major. It's Nestle or whoever owns
Yeah.
Reese's. It's to me it works because it's like, oh, they didn't put an obvious product in there. They
Yeah, I
put
think
the
they
handheld
tried.
chocolate candy you get when you run out of M&Ms.
Yeah.
So.
I think for me, I actually prefer Reese's Pieces, so I felt like I connected more with E.T. in that moment.
Yeah.
But I drank a lot of Coke too. I still don't really connect with Mac and me, but with Mac himself. So part of the film's box office intake was donated to the Ronald McDonald House Charities, which I think is really sweet. There's a couple sweet things about this film.
Yes.
That, and then also that Jade Calgary has spina bifida, and that's why he uses a wheelchair in the movie and in real life. I think that's really cool representation. And, I feel like back when this film came out, was it 1988?
Right.
Yes.
Yeah. There was definitely not a lot of representation. So I think that's special. And I do appreciate that. And then hearing that, there was some box office donated, you can't, even if you don't like the movie, you can't hate it all away, because those two facts are pretty sweet.
Back to the representation thing. This was not a time when it was fashionable or recommended to do that kind of representation. If anything, it could have brought the movie down a notch. So the fact that they decided to do that at that time is such a commendable decision, such a great choice. And then to cast it with somebody who really needs the wheelchair instead of just an able-bodied kid who, to put in there, that is fantastic and definitely a great thing.
Speaking of Mac, if we couldn't get any more on the nose with ET, meaning extraterrestrial, Mac, in case he doesn't know, is an acronym for mysterious alien creature.
I mean, that makes sense.
I just
that kind of I kind of suspected that.
He said Eric says it, the main little kid character, the Elliot stand-in at some point,
or he says some weird acronym.
Yeah.
It's a joke, one of many jokes that don't land. I forget what it was. When we're introduced to the family and they're sitting in the car and they're in traffic because Mac rolls into traffic because it's a kids movie.
There's so much child endangerment in this movie.
Yes.
Like, there are some sweet things about it. I like, even in the plot, but with all the ham-fistedness, but it's like all these children getting endangered constantly. Sorry,
Yes.
Danny, go ahead.
No, it's fine. But to go back to your point, I just assume Mac because McDonald's paid for.
That's what I thought too.
Originally wanted to call the alien McDonald's.
Oh my god!
Would not surprise me if that was a fact.
And I'm surprised that McDonald's wanting to still be associated with this, or even at the time that they let it out, because the scene with Mac and McDonald's is horrifying.
You could say that about a lot of scenes in this movie, though.
Yeah,
a lot of them are
horrifying. You could say that about McDonald's. It's like, well, the food's horrible, but we're here and I'm hungry, and
that's pretty accurate.
Right.
But I'm not above it. I won't lie.
No, not at all.
It's McDonald's has been there for me, in times of need, and maybe this movie also filled voids for others.
McDonald's is the greatest marketing success ever. The Founder is a movie I've seen 100 times with Michael Keaton. Yeah. And you're like, when he starts getting his groove and like getting the pitch down, and he's like, McDonald's isn't about food. It's about family. It's about like a place where families can come and eat together. And, because up until that time, like, drive-thrus weren't a thing, and I think it was car hops. Like, we're mostly like where all the punk teenage kids hang out.
But my favorite part of that is when he starts to say, and I think in about 20-30 years we need to produce an alien movie.
Yes. I'm now that you mention it, I'm curious to see how much, because I think Ray Kroc was alive when Mac and Me. I could be wrong about that, but I think he was alive when he came out. I'm curious.
I want to know what he thought
if this was part of his vision. That's the Founder too, is the making of Mac and Me.
We should make a fake trailer for that.
But yes. I'm curious to know if Ray Kroc had anything. I'm not sure when the cutoff is for his when he passed away, but I'm pretty sure he was alive when this came out. So I'm curious. Yeah, it's. Oh, go ahead. I'm done.
Oh no, you're good. You
can edit that part.
I'm looking at scenes from the McDonald's scene, and
Mm.
I can only
Yeah, we just got
imagine.
through that.
Yeah, I can only imagine the tension on set, pretending like this is cute.
I don't know that some of those actors, they look happy. They're acting their asses off. I'll say that about them.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, no, the dancers are like, this is going to be our big break. I'm going to be the dancing football player guy, which a whole football team comes in and dances in the dancing in this non-musical move. Like it's a musical moment in a moment that has no musical moments into it. It just threw it in.
And
they wanted McDonald's to seem like this happened in
and
place.
I'll point out, I don't know if you saw this in your little facts or not, but that in that McDonald's scene, when they first pull up and they're in the parking lot and some breakdancing is going on, one of the kids sitting off to the side is a very young Jennifer Aniston.
I did read that her debut was in this movie, but I didn't realize she was in that scene.
I don't know if it counts as a debut though. Like she's in a line of kids.
You can see her off the screen.
She's one of the kids that are there.
She's sitting on the curb at the very beginning of the dance.
She doesn't get featured or anything. There's
scene.
Okay. Interesting. Well, I'm sure she looks.
We tried to make a joke about it, but she's like, well, I think we did do well, maybe I shouldn't say.
Yeah, don't say. Don't
something.
give it away yet.
Well, no, I was trying to remember what did we do with her, or if we did anything. What did we do with her screen debut?
That's funny. Well, we haven't talked yet about the who this was written and directed by. It was written and directed by Stuart Raphael, and I looked through his IMDb and did not recognize his work, but wondered if you guys knew anything about him.
I saw. Because of this movie, I have the Blu-ray.
Amazing! I didn't even know it was on Blu-ray.
It came out like 2018. It's like, okay, Blu-ray's dying. We got to get all the movies back. It literally was like the last movie you thought would be on Blu-ray, which is where we are now because digital media is taking over. Yeah, and I think he directed commercials mostly. Surprise.
Oh wow!
I bet he did a lot of McDonald's commercials. Maybe that's his thing.
They're like, this guy should do a whole movie.
I mean, when you think about it,
Island,
Ice Pirates,
Tammy and the T-Rex. Sorry, just looking through his.
Oh, that's right.
He did Tammy and the T-Rex. Oh my gosh,
he did. Yeah, he's in the So Bad It's Good category.
So I can say that
on the move.
He's not very good at making movies.
It says, I thought it said that he got an award, but it actually says he has worked with Academy Award-winning talent.
Yes.
Bio.
I mean, the biggest name
he's
in this
doing
movie,
more than me. Let's put it that way.
Yes.
Or was doing, yeah.
The biggest name in this movie, and it's someone I like watching, Christine Ebersol, who plays the mom.
Oh, yeah.
Won a Tony. She's Tony Award winning. She was on Saturday Night Live. She was on the first cast after the main cast when Lauren left. I think she was in like the Gilbert Godfrey years.
Oh, okay.
So up until like recently, it seems like her career has been like in wrong place, wrong time, but at the highest possible place you could be.
It happens.
She what was I gonna say? Like she's the one saving grace of this movie. And I say that like everybody in this movie tries.
Yeah.
But the people behind the scenes just don't seem to like know.
Oh, speaking of
what
that,
they're doing as well as the actors and the
composer
dancers.
is a big deal, right?
Right, Alan Silvestri.
Which is kind
of I did not realize this was.
But it's a recycle. I think the score is recycled.
I don't think it's recycled because I've heard Alan Silvestri do similar things in movies where. I think basically this is Silvestri phoning it in. He does a lot of he's done like whenever he did, I think Father of the Bride 2, you could hear Predator in there, you could hear Predator score in Judgment Night. It just sounds so much like it, but in this you definitely hear some Predator, you definitely hear some Back to the Future and scenes that are similar to those movies. That might have even been on purpose, but definitely.
Yeah, maybe they just said like, can you make it sound like X, Y, and Z? And he's like, okay.
Well, yeah. But it happens to be his X, Y, and Z.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
What was this before he went big?
No,
Was
he
he a
was a name.
name?
He was established.
I mean, by
Yeah, okay,
1980,
I thought he was.
1988, 1985, we have, Back to the Future and
Right,
big
right.
deal. I did
Oh,
not
right, of
know
course.
that, so thank you for teaching me that. I did not see who the composer was.
I'm
so I
surprised he
love that.
kept his name in.
Yeah, he's done a lot of great stuff. He did the Forrest Gump score.
I mean, again, the score is not the
No.
problem.
I mean,
with
that's
this movie. Far from the problem in this movie.
yeah, I mean, that's the case with a lot of movies, right? I mean,
Right.
it's like you go back and you're like, wow, but it just depends on the time the movie came out. He was just the go-to guy, and they
Yeah.
didn't know what this was going to be necessarily. But yeah, normally I would go through the whole cast and crew, but in this case, it's kind of like you mentioned already, Danny. There's not a lot of people that are notable. You kind of already mentioned a big one, so maybe we.
Oh, and I forgot.
Go ahead.
With Christina Ebersol. Do you know the movie she did after Mac and Me?
What?
Ghost Dad.
Oh,
Wow.
Oh, we all look at Ghost Dad differently these days.
It goes up. It goes. Her career goes way up from here, which is the good part. But I was just like, I like being on Ebert's worst of list 2 years in a row. Like,
Yeah.
just give me the
Bad
pills.
luck.
Like
Yeah.
just like I don't know how you. I mean, props to her for still like pounding it out and making a career. But yeah,
That's got to be rough for sure.
that hit me in the gut when I read that. It really did. I was looking through her page, and because I know her from it's Black. I know her from Black Sheep with Chris Farley and David Spade, which I love just as much as Tommy Boy. It's Black Sheep. I know is the less successful of the two, but I kind of like it because it has more of like a punk edge than Tommy Boy did,
Mm-hmm.
and it was a movie that my brother and his friends loved and would quote endlessly. And she plays a really like cool villain in it and stuff. But when I read that Ghost Dad, I was like, oh, that hurts.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And like the rest of the cast, like you said, I mean, there's not really a whole lot to highlight. I'm not super familiar with them. But that's okay. We're here to talk about the scenes. I mean, the scenes
Right.
in this movie.
Oh,
So,
boy.
why don't you guys mention some of your, I mean, would we say favorite scenes or most notable? However you want to put that.
I mean, there's the elephant in the room scene, the the Paul Rudd scene, as everyone calls it,
Yeah.
Yeah,
which isn't a
yeah.
surprise anymore. So we really had to work hard to come up with a really great joke
Wait,
for that scene because
That's-
everybody knows it.
I,
And we're not spoiling.
I haven't
anything.
done my research. Is that the cliff scene or?
Yeah.
Yeah, so
Okay,
for
yes.
anyone that may not know who's listening, this scene famously, Paul
Oh,
Rudd, for
sorry. Yes.
20 plus years, anytime literally every single time he was a guest on Conan O'Brien, he would talk
Yes.
about whatever project he's doing, and they'd introduce and he'd say, okay, and we have a clip, and here it is. And every single time it was the scene of the kid going off the cliff. And Conan
Yeah.
every time would think it was Charlie Brown with the football. He kept thinking this time he'll really show the clip, and he never did, including the last episode, and then
Yes.
including after the show was over when he did it on his podcast and played the audio
Yes.
from it.
Oh yeah.
Incredible.
Yeah.
Incredible. It's the long joke. And I feel like that's the reason this is on Blu-ray. I feel like that's the reason this gets covered so much. I mean, I feel like I watched it because of that. And that scene is truly, truly horrifying. I mean,
Oh yeah. Because it comes
especially-
out of nowhere.
it comes out of nowhere, and I can tell just like it copies ET, so we can tell they wanted this to be the flying bike moment. But what is more horrifying?
But the bike flies. That's
Right.
the difference.
Yeah,
The wheelchair
Eric
doesn't
just
fly.
falls.
It just drops. That's what's so jarring is like, oh, they were copying ET, but what if ET thought he could fly and didn't? It's like, well, then you're describing a Mel Brooks
It
movie.
just occurred
Yeah.
to me that we should
Really?
make a T-shirt of that silhouette in front of the moon.
Yes. Yes.
Oh my gosh.
I mean, you talked about child endangerment earlier. I mean, there's just a child could not be in more danger.
Right.
Oh, I
poor
know. I
child
know.
is.
Max.
And it was the actual kid in the wheelchair. No, I'm just kidding.
That would be terrible.
No, they didn't even have I think it was a dummy, if
mean,
I'm
it's-
remembering the
yeah,
scene.
it's pretty clearly not a person.
Right.
I mean, that is a little bit of a comfort, but it's just truly awful visual. And it's like your audience is supposed to, after that scene, still be, you know, in the same vibe, in the same tone.
What's supposed to show that, oh, Mac has powers. Mac can do anything but stop a kid from falling off a cliff.
Yeah.
Up until that, he's got powers.
And it's
he's not exactly Lassie. I mean,
I
but-
know
Right, yeah.
Mac is like a little weird, like kind of horrifying little puppet, but I see him as like even a younger character than Eric, the main little boy. So maybe like
I
5,
agree.
6, 7, and so much
Yeah.
awful stuff happens to this alien kid. Like he's out in traffic, he's getting sucked into vacuums, and like there's this
He gets
whole
electrocuted.
it's awful. Like all of this in about 5 to 10 minutes during the opening, when he's trying to escape.
Well, made more horrifying that they're trying. No, you're right. It made more horrifying by the fact that they're trying to make it a human cartoon.
Yeah.
In the traffic scene, he gets creamed by a car, and you think, oh my god, this is awful. And then they show him, and he's like flat, like Bugs Bunny, like Bugs Bunny getting run over with the googly eyes.
You know what it reminded me of is,
and it's like it doesn't know what it wants to be.
That scene is very Christopher Lloyd in Who Framed Roger Rabbit.
Yes.
The tunes.
Yeah.
Mac is a tune.
He's a tune.
It was Mac killed what's his name? I can't
Eddie.
think of the actor's name. Yeah,
Eddie.
Mac killed Eddie's brother.
It's just, it scared me. You know, I know a lot of people say E.T.'s scary, but I think Mac is a bit more frightening. But I totally agree, Liz. He gives very like almost infant vibes, like he's a toddler, maybe. I don't know. It's he doesn't.
Which is weird because he has a baby brother. So how much younger could he be?
No, I think it's his older sister. I don't know.
Oh.
Sorry.
I swear it's a baby.
Everyone weigh in the
Maybe
comments. Tell us.
Yes.
Over all these aliens.
How old are these aliens?
At least a two-child family.
Yes.
Are the parents young parents, older parents? We don't know. But yeah, he doesn't seem capable is the thing. Like E.T., I feel like had a handle on some of these situations, but Mac is truly.
Well, E.T. was ageless. Like I don't.
Yeah,
he was a grown-ass man. I thought, like a grown-ass alien.
Grown-ass man.
No,
I always felt
he
E.T.
didn't know if he was an adult or child because he's looking at.
Yeah.
Oh man.
But
I've heard that actually E.T. is a plant. Is plant life.
Oh, he's like plant-based.
So Neil deGrasse Tyson was on Colbert. Actually, this happened. Neil deGrasse Tyson was on Colbert last week. I don't know how E.T. came up. They were talking. He's got some book out now about looking at the world through the perspective of the universe or whatever. And he talks, and actually E.T. is a plant. And Colbert goes, how do you know that? Well, because he can make other plants grow. So he's a catalyst for plant life. And then he goes, where did you come up with that theory? And he goes, Steven Spielberg told me.
Oh.
And he just was like,
oh, Neil.
He just was like, well, thanks to Neil deGrasse Tyson for being here tonight. I hear you have a clip. And then he shows the clip of the kid falling off.
Yeah. He does that every time.
So E.T.'s like makes him sound kind of like a terraformer almost.
Yes, that's the term I was looking for.
Oh yeah. Well, that's pretty cool.
He's just a big bag of peat moss.
Yeah, we should have kept him here. Like he could have fixed the situation we now find ourselves in.
And I don't think
Elliot caused global warming.
What I want is a movie like a Freddy versus Jason type movie of E.T. and Mac having it out.
Ooh, that'd be good.
I'm fairly sure the internet is working on that.
Yeah, that reminds me of that Sonic movie, like E.T. versus Batman. Or not Sonic, it was the Rescue Rangers movie.
Yeah.
But yeah, that would be a time. I mean, people would tune in at the very least.
Oh, I'd watch the hell out
It'd
of
be
it.
a short movie. E.T.'s got a better crew.
He seems to have better powers and more control over them. So yeah, I agree. It would be a pretty short fight.
E.T. has Stan Winston. What does Mac have? A kid who's just out of film school. I don't know who their special effects.
E.T. would probably just say, fuck this, I'm a pacifist.
He starts growing a bunch of plants.
Yeah.
Like,
Right, he doesn't, yeah. E.T. is not, or Mac is not a catalyst for a lot of action.
So not bringing up a
Thinking back of it.
specific scene, but is it just me, or does another alarming thing about Mac to me is his size? I feel like changes many
Yeah,
times
I
throughout
think
the
you're
film, right?
right.
Yeah.
It does,
When
and I
they-
think that just has to do with the kind of poor special effects of
Yeah.
in this scene we have this little puppet, and then this scene he's gonna dance on the table in this bear costume, so we need somebody in this costume to dance, and I think the whole time he's in the bear costume, he's the size of a large child.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
And when he's like riding in the wheelchair as well. But yeah, it's like there's something about these like long limbs that he has, and also his parents too. I think, I don't know,
Mhm.
it's hard to put your finger on, right? Like with E.T., he's cute, but with this puppet, I find him disturbing, and I don't know if it's the long limbs or I don't know. It's just
It's whenever Mac has to actually move. So when he jumps in the water. So again, going back to the cliff scene, when you see Mac looking at Eric drowning, again, kids movie.
we have to keep mentioning that because
Right. They show the puppet, and then when he has to jump in the water, they cut to a guy in a Mac suit who's like twice as big.
Well, I'll tell you what is off-putting about him, to me at least, is this. I guess this, when you put together everything that he does and happens to him in the movie, he appears to be made of some type of gelatin. He's like a jellyfish, like, because yes, like he gets sucked into a vacuum. He gets when he like you said, when
Which
he
is
gets
never
hit by the
explained.
car, he spreads out over the entire windshield, and,
Right.
and it's completely flattened, and he's able to stretch his limbs in the Fantastic Four kind of way to bring in the newspaper. You see his arm stretch out, and it's 9 feet long. It's gross and off-putting.
I may be stealing this from How Did This Get Made, but he looks like that little rubber thing from our childhood that you would squeeze and its eyes pop out.
Yes.
Yeah,
Exactly like
yeah.
that. But they might have said that already because it's so on the nose.
Makes sense. I mean, they do. Also, Mac only has one facial expression,
Yeah.
It is an
Yeah.
unfortunate
And he makes that little
which is
sound.
one.
Yes, which is wide-eyed Christmas morning surprise every day.
Again, nostalgia goggles. I kind of think Mac is cute. I can't say the same thing for
Oh,
his
no, I'm
old
not
man,
denying
but
that. Right.
He is kind of cute, but he always does look like he's on, like, watching a car accident. Like,
yeah,
Right.
yeah.
And when he's given that Coke, he really, the puppetness of his presentation of his personality really comes out there. I mean, it truly looks like I know it's hard to make a puppet look like it's doing certain things, but that scene, that's not happening. To me, it
No.
looks like putting a straw in the mouth of a doll.
Yeah.
It's a little
Yeah.
disturbing. But Liz, I kind of want to hear more about your childhood perspective on Mac and Me. Like, what were some of your favorite scenes like as a kid? Like, what brought, what did you watch and you're like, oh, I love this part, or I connected with this part, or
Oh gosh, it was a long time ago. I think that I liked I was a fan of McDonald's when I was 6 or so I probably liked that, and I just the thing about it was like I was sad at the end of ET, like the friends had to say goodbye, and they just kind of the ending of Mac and Me. I don't know if we want to talk about that, but the
Oh, you
aliens
can,
get
it's
to
fine.
stay in a very ridiculous manner, and I was like, oh, this is great, they get to stay together. I think that's what resonated with me. Just maybe it appeals more to little kids. That ET is a bit heavy when you're 5, I guess.
It really is.
Yeah.
I think
Oh,
you're
yeah.
right about that. I think when I was a kid, there were parts of ET, the part where ET's at the hospital
Mhm.
and he and Elliot share, physically what's going on. ET's white as a ghost. Like, that stuff was
oh
horrifying.
gosh, yeah,
Yeah,
when he looks like one
yeah.
of those little powdered donuts. Awful.
Yeah. And like, what's her name? His sister,
Gertie.
Gertie,
Gertie,
yes.
yeah.
She's screaming. I mean, it was
Mhm.
intense. So I can understand that, this one ends, they don't have to say goodbye. And it's just like, one big happy family. We meet the whole family, and they stay here. I remember I was listening to someone say, "Oh, well, don't they meet E.T.'s mom at the end?" I'm like, "There's no explanation like that." We don't
No,
know who
it doesn't
mom
need it.
is. We don't get to know any of that. But this movie, you do get like the little family unit. So I could imagine as a kid connecting.
Mac and me's like, oh, you know what? E.T. doesn't have a family. Let's give him
Because
that.
when I was little, my parents always said
Which
that
it
was
doesn't
E.T.'s
need.
mom at the end, and I think that's just the assumption because it never is established. That really could just be like his partner Lou, like, come on, man, we've been looking all over for you. We were past 9 planets. When we realized you were gone, what are you doing?
Yeah, like the violence in Mac and Me and the child endangerment is like horrifying as an adult, but it is so cartoonish that, and I was a sensitive little kid, like I couldn't handle Sleeping Beauty. I was like, oh my God, she's dead. But like Mac and Me,
Well,
no
that's a super
problem. So
dark.
it's sort of interesting.
That Disney Sleeping Beauty is Mac and Me level horrifying.
It is, yeah.
And in a way, I don't think we like knew where the line was.
Yeah, I feel like under a modern lens, we're looking.
Hell, Snow White was that way.
Yeah,
too.
we look at that story and we go,
right.
Not a lot of conversations about consent in that
Oh,
story.
no, just like like think about the first Snow White was the reason she goes into the forest is because the queen sends the woodsman into to chase after her and bring back her still beating heart in a box.
Yeah.
And we're like, oh, what a wholesome movie for kids. I'm not that I'm judging. Like, I think kids can handle stuff like that better than we think. But it's not like this innocent time.
Yeah, that's true.
That's
very
around.
True. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I think the child endangerment in this movie is scary, like you said, Liz, as an adult. But as a kid, I don't think you pick up on any of that. You're just kind of like,
Looney Tunes.
Oh, it's fun.
Yeah.
It's fine to
but up
for him to drive that car and stuff.
The cliff scene, the family moves to California, and the mom chooses a house where a child in a wheelchair has access to a cliff,
and
has I would say 100 yards away from the backyard, from the patio to the cliff is a
with
cliff.
like an awesome looking little gateway where any kid would go, oh, what's over there?
Oh,
With the wedding chapel at a plantation backyard fence.
Yeah, I don't know
Kind
what
of,
the thought
you know what I mean?
process was there. Like, did she pull up to this house? I'm assuming do a walkthrough and was just like, that's a consideration, but the
They
price,
kind of allude
the price
to
is
it.
good.
Yeah, they allude to it like something like they look in the backyard like, wow, is all that ours? And it's like, yeah, the first 25 yards.
Yeah, no, the mom mentioned.
Which I was like, well, you still had 25 yards to put up a friggin' fence. Didn't have a gaping door that anybody could just literally roll through.
Yeah, they must not have an HOA.
Well, maybe they just hadn't gotten to it yet because apparently when they first move into the house, they are building all of the furniture inside the living room where they have saws and electric tools, and they seem to be building the furniture.
I forgot about that.
Maybe that's why he's using Michael, his brother's using the bandsaw.
Yeah.
He's like, well, I better build a fence.
Yeah, no, but like the mom is giving the kids a tour and she's like telling Eric, the son in a wheelchair, like, oh, it's so accessible. We've got like low windows, wide doorways. But then there's a cliff out back.
By the way, there's a cliff. Yeah, there's a gaping hell that leads to a cliff. But man, all the counters are accessible.
Yeah. Just be careful out there, huh?
Yeah, she's like, you are my top priority and your safety.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, and there's a 50-foot drop off to a shallow pool of water. But the closets are,
Oh man, that's too funny.
It's just, but it's like adults made this movie, right? Like that's what boggles my mind. Nobody thought let's fill that hole with
Again, I think the focus was having
dollar store caulking glue or whatever.
I still feel like the focus was, I guess the scene with all that stuff out is so that later Mac can use it somehow in some fun
to redecorate in some bizarre way.
Yeah. And then I guess the cliff is again to have some sort of bike moment. But yeah, it's like they don't think about the logic of
I think the point of the cliff scene is basically that Mac and Tilden is something that they've been fearing and I think
true,
to show
true.
them and to
Right,
show
and it's
us
like,
that
yeah,
he's in mortal danger, but look at what Mac is doing to help him out.
Right. Like Mac is, it's a bonding moment, extreme one, but
and they need to set up in this movie it's Skittles instead of Reese's Pieces.
But then they suck him up in the vacuum after that happens.
After what?
After he saves
after
him,
he saves Eric, yeah.
then he's still like, I'm gonna suck up this alien in a vacuum.
Well, first of all, how does he know that a vacuum is the best way? Like, the movie doesn't establish, like, how do they know that he's pliable
That he
enough
has no bones.
that he's actually, his anatomy is a series of bladders, which is what I'm convinced he is.
Oh, come now, we're not cinema sins. Suspend your disbelief.
Well, no, I'm trying to explain like how he can get sucked up into a vacuum.
No,
He
I know,
obviously
I
doesn't have
know.
bones. First of all, he gets the hell beaten out of him when he moves into the house. Like, doors get slammed in his face
It's just
and he gets
awful.
crushed.
This
And
poor child is being
right,
I know.
poor child alien.
Yeah,
who
he is a child. You're
half water
right.
balloon, half human.
It reminds me of when that X-Men in the first X-Men movie, and that senator got given powers and he
Yes.
turned into kind of a jellyfish kind of thing. That's
Yeah,
Mac.
that's Mac. Mac was created by Magneto as a way to teach him about racism. You're one of
Former
us now,
Senator
Mac.
Mac.
Well, he's a citizen.
That's
Spoiler,
true.
sorry.
Oh yeah, he becomes a citizen.
Yeah.
Another.
We can say that now.
Yeah, I mean, we could say.
Well,
that.
you did ask about things that are memorable, and for me, that was one of the silliest moments of this as a kid. Is that this movie ends
Right.
with a citizenship test or ceremony? I mean,
Yeah. Well, yeah, it is sort of a refugee story, right? I mean, they're kind of
Oh yeah.
they're
Right.
stuck here. And when I first see the parents and like the dad's naked and
Yeah, that's
know what
right.
I
They're wearing
They're all
clothes at
naked,
the
and
end.
she's the mom.
Well,
is
they're
wearing, like, a
American now, and
potato
they better
sack.
damn well adopt our customs.
Yeah, the mom is wearing like a potato sack and the toddler is wearing clothes, which I don't know
Right.
somehow. And I'm just like, this is such a disturbing image. But then when they're in the courtroom and they're wearing like quote unquote normal clothes, that is
Mhm.
somehow more disturbing.
Yes,
Yeah.
I'm like, no,
we've assimilated
okay,
them.
back to
That's the lesson. We're the
they've
Borg.
been demacked.
yeah. They don't get to hold on to their culture.
Right.
But also just like I thought they were scary when they were naked, quote unquote. But when they were clothed, it
Yeah,
somehow
it's
got
worse.
worse. And I was like, go
Yeah.
back to the naked thing. Again, a kid's movie. I don't know.
Yeah.
Just having a lot of thoughts over here about that.
I don't know
Um,
what the decision was to. Well, it was like formal. It's like formal dress, right? Like they're going to their
And it,
Yeah.
to take the oath, to take the American citizenship oath,
And
Yeah,
if-
mom,
which
alien.
I've actually seen. It's like it literally looks like that. It's like a big building full of people doing it all at once.
Right.
And if anyone
And
is
they're all
wondering
wearing,
who has not seen the movie, what they look like, that they have those contests on TikTok and stuff where people are holding their cheeks full of water and trying to make each other laugh. If Gollum was doing that contest, it'd be them.
Yeah, that's good.
I wonder how all the extras felt in that scene. Like, I'm not sure about the messaging here with
Oh,
the
yeah,
citizenship thing.
good
It's just a
question.
little awkward.
Yeah, like that family got kind of fast tracked too. Usually it takes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
again, we don't get to have, we don't get to see the people versus Larry Flint moment where they go before the Supreme Court. I mean, the movie had to have a happy moment after
All the
all
horror.
this dark,
Yeah.
right? After they literally almost get exploded.
There's a scary thing
Twice.
by the end of this movie that even though I didn't like the movie when I was a kid, like that part had me almost crying as a kid. That I was like, oh my gosh, I can't believe I'm watching this right now. It was very
Yeah.
upsetting.
It's like waving around guns and explosions and
Oh yeah, that's right.
yeah.
But I mean, the ET had that moment too again where
Yeah.
ET sacrifices
True.
himself,
That's true.
which I don't remember if they explained that he can telepathically link
Yeah, but did ET have
the
the
systems.
main
I
character?
haven't seen it. In
Well,
a
I
long
guess
time.
it kind of did. Like
Yeah.
the thing, like the main character pretty much dead for a little bit, and with people crying
Right.
over him. And yes, it did. Was the answer.
Hmm.
That he has regeneration powers. No, I mean that literally.
Yeah.
Like that he has he has Wolverine's healing factor,
But not
basically.
his, what was it?
But not his
Yeah.
adamantium, whatever it's called. Yeah.
Yeah, bones or whatever.
Wow,
a lot of connections to not just ET, but X-Men.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's the
who
second
would've
time it's come
thought?
up.
Yeah.
Stories
Well,
about
well,
unacceptance and just
They,
all kinds of
I think
stuff.
they explained it that ET can make things grow, so any organic life, I guess, he can. If he can heal it, then he can take it away.
But more than anything, our
Himself.
hearts.
Godlike. Yeah, our hearts.
What's that?
That's so true.
Yes. Well, yeah.
That's
Yeah.
so true. So
The
touching.
heartwarming story.
When I look at this movie, other things that kind of pop up are like Flight of the Navigator and things like that.
Yeah.
So I love that movie
Flight of the
too.
If
Navigator
only
was
Mac had
fantastic.
Paul. Yeah.
Amazing.
If only Mac had Paul Rubens' voice.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
That might have made me love it as a kid.
Which blew my mind as a kid because I was a huge Pee Wee. I still
Same.
am a huge Pee Wee Herman fan.
Same.
Loved Pee Wee's Playhouse. I got mad as hell when they took it off the air
But
over such a stupid thing.
oh, I know.
And so I think so when like in the I didn't learn until the movie that it was Paul Rubens because he started kind of doing the Pee Wee voice.
I didn't think it was
he
even
definitely
him. I
also
just thought I thought they basically did a part with
No,
Pee
I
Wee's
thought
voice and had someone else the rest of the
I
time.
thought they did too. I thought they did too because the only time you see him, you only see the I forget the character's name, the robot. He's doing that super, serious voice.
Max.
No, yeah, you're right. Oh, it's Max.
Yeah.
God, it's even close to Mac. No, when I saw the commercials in the trailer, you only see Max do the dark. You are the navigator.
Oh, that's
and
true.
then later you learn, oh God, that was Paul Rubens.
Well, the thing
whole
is I didn't know the name Paul Rubens as a kid because the movies always had Pee Wee
that's where I
Herman
learned
as
it from.
himself, and so
Oh.
when I saw this
Oh,
other name on
interesting.
here, I was like, oh, it's somebody else.
Yeah.
You're right. Man, you want to talk about traumatizing scenes though. Flight of the Navigator, when that kid goes to his home and there's another family there.
Oh,
Ooh,
and his
that traumatized me as a
brother
child.
is now like all grown up.
Yeah. It's like,
Mm.
that felt heavy to me as a kid.
That was
but
rough. Yeah.
like you said, Danny, kids can handle it. I could handle it. And I really liked that movie.
My dad let me watch the Twilight Zone. When I was a little
Me
kid.
too.
So
I
I
love
was
the
like
Twilight Zone.
prepared. I was like, I already knew the world is a dark and scary and unfair
What a
place.
great show, The Twilight Zone.
Yeah.
Yes. But were there any other scenes that we haven't touched on yet that you guys wanted to cover?
We haven't gotten to the grocery scene yet in our
Yeah.
writing. We're about 20 minutes away from the end where we are right now in terms of writing the script for our show.
Yeah, there's lots of great
one-
little scenes. Like
Mm.
the mom comes in to give the main character a sandwich and he's like, here's your toe. What? Toast on whole wheat? Just random. Like, what is
This
this
movie
right?
thinks This movie wanted to invent acronyms before texting.
Mhm.
Because it does that. It
You're
does
right.
it with the alien and blank, whatever. Again, the traffic scene where we meet the family for the first time. Yeah, it does that a lot. Oh, and then there's Debbie, who you can't criticize a child actor, but the direction she gets sometimes are like she's sarcastic when she doesn't have to be.
Yeah, it's confusing.
Yeah.
It's
Like I think she's sarcastic with Eric literally after he falls off the cliff, and I'm like,
Perfect
who gave her
timing.
that direction. We need a sassy little kid who tells it like it is.
Little do you know, the director directing her was telling her, okay, so your character is a terrible human being. You're really loathsome. So
Yes. You think you're Native American when you're not.
Yeah.
oh, yeah, I forgot about that.
Which they never really explain. They just that's California.
Yeah, like she's introduced like in a little toy teepee with
Yeah. It's like Glenn Beck directed this movie. Those freaking Californians.
there's also a memorable chase scene in a Sears.
Oh man,
Yeah.
Sears.
Yes.
R.I.P. Sears. I don't know.
Yeah,
Maybe
yeah.
somewhere, but
or she worked. The mom works at the mall.
Yeah.
R.I.P. the mall
They're
as
like-
well.
Yes.
And Mac can make electric things move. So let's set. They conveniently don't set him loose in the Black and Decker aisle, which actually would have made this movie cool.
Then it becomes chopping mall or whatever.
Fine.
Oh,
that's
my
still a
gosh.
step up.
I
Takes
could
a hard
talk
right
for
turn.
a full day about chopping mall.
Right.
Yes,
But they go
we
through
all
the-
could.
They go through the toy aisle, so those are the weapons he has. So he makes cars go, and
They try to make it fun.
and the TV. Yeah, they try to make it fun. I get that. I understand. Mac can't just wield the chainsaw. I get it.
Can't he?
But it becomes a different film at that point. But
yes.
That's what I mean. It's like, yeah.
yeah.
But it can make other horrifying moments. Like this movie doesn't need a chainsaw to scare children.
No, there's a lot of haunting visuals about that.
Well, they
yes.
did in order to get Mac into a McDonald's without being noticed, without drawing too much attention, to skin a large stuffed teddy bear and slip the skin of that
Right.
bear around Mac, which is
Yeah.
horrible to look at and behold.
They write it off as like he's a big Teddy Ruxpin,
Mm.
Yes.
which we all know that's not horrifying.
Yeah, Teddy Ruxpin was already scary, but this is like
Right.
Five Nights at Freddy's version of Teddy
Yeah.
Ruxpin. It's truly unsettling to watch. And like you said earlier, the actors are smiling real hard, but
Like
deep down they're afraid.
everybody
I mean, that's the vibe.
Like you can't hate the cast because they clearly try. Again, Christine Ebersol is a great actress.
Mm-hmm.
Like she's trying, and she's in the start of her career.
They all gave it their all is the thing.
Yeah.
There's a lot of
All,
love into the
yeah.
movie. What I would love so much would be to see like an Ed Wood type movie about the making of this. Like,
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
oh my
yes.
gosh, I would love to see that.
That would be great.
Mm.
Again, I've only seen on the Blu-ray the director talk about the movie they were trying to make, and the only thing he really could link to its lasting legacy is that Paul Rudd kept it alive, and he was like,
Yes.
"Oh, I'd love to make a Mac and Me Too with Paul Rudd."
Oh, that would be incredible. I'd watch that.
Which I could see that
Mhm.
happening, kind of just as like, okay, I'll pay it back.
Oh, I think he would love every second of it, though.
I think he would do it, right? I don't know. I've never actually heard Paul Rudd talk about this movie, other than he knows that it exists.
What if they did it, but they did it in sort of the styling of like that movie Walk Hard, where it's like sort
Oh
of
my gosh.
fun,
That's
Yeah.
like making
yes.
fun of Mac and
Or
Me
like,
and E.T.
yeah.
the Weird Al movie
Yeah.
that's fixing to come out. That's like a biopic
Yes,
with
yes.
fictional stuff in it.
Yeah,
That would be entertaining.
Oh,
that
wow,
would be-
that would be
that'd be great.
amazing.
yeah. As a making of,
Yeah,
or
yeah.
as a
Yeah. Could be
or as
making
as a parody of the alien befriending children.
I think either way would work, really.
Right.
I mean, it's Paul Rudd, and I feel like he
I'm
would
kind
know.
of surprised that's a trope like the Zucker brothers or Brooks that it didn't pick up on.
Yeah, that's true.
'Cause there's actually there's a lot of like in the 80s there were a lot of movies where an alien befriends a kid and they go on an adventure.
Yes.
Again, Flight of the Navigator. What else? There's a bunch of like lesser known movies.
What
like
if they
that.
made-
Like, I mean, that's basically all Disney
The
did.
The Last
Whatever.
Starfighter.
Last
or-
Starfighter's a good one. Yeah.
What if they made a movie of it that was more in the that movie Shadow of the Vampire, where it's a fictional take on the making of Nosferatu?
Oh, yeah,
which-
yeah.
The vampire
and
is a
and Max-
real vampire, so Mac's a real existing alien, and we're seeing behind it.
Ah,
Yeah,
That's why they
that'd be
couldn't make
fun.
him cuter. I mean, they can only do
So much.
yeah.
It just
what they
looked
can
like that.
do. It's like, oh, we put him in this bear outfit, but it just,
Mhm.
it's only so much they can do. See, that says something about this film though, right? That we're looking for ways to save it. You don't do that with every bad movie.
Yeah.
You don't
I mean, it's more hindsight. It's like if we were doing this, like could we make it
Yeah, there's
better?
challenge.
I don't know if that's
there are
true in
things
my
I
case,
enjoy about this movie. I think the main thing to say is though, it's that the filmmakers accomplish what they wanted to make with this movie. I think the answer to that is a clear no. Like, I think this
Right.
movie did not have the effect that they wanted, which was if they could have chose the outcome of the reaction to this movie, they wanted the response that ET had already.
Right.
Well, and it was more of like, hey, McDonald's wants to make a movie.
Yeah, I want to know the backstory of
Build around
that.
that.
Like, did McDonald's
Like, it's
approach
literally
them, or did they? I mean, they must have approached McDonald's. I don't know.
it must have been like McDonald's wants to make a movie.
I may be wrong, but I think I heard that somewhere once, that basically McDonald's wanted that. They wanted a movie
Right.
that really highly promoted them
Mhm.
and financed it for that purpose.
And they already have Coke on board as like,
Yeah, you would think
again,
it's
if you watch the founder, one of the strategies that Ray Kroc had was to actually like partner with one soda brand, so that the soda brand would pay them money to sell their product, but also like as a form of advertising, which the McDonald brothers didn't want to do. Like Coke used to have like their logo prominently displayed on McDonald's menus, which the McDonald brothers didn't want, because it's like, no, we're not paying. We're not a marketing firm. Like, we sell food. That's what we do. And so they're already on board. So you got Coke and McDonald's funding a movie. So now you can pump whatever, idea you have.
Into the
But,
special
you have
effects.
funding. Well, no, you have a movie. You have a movie. You have funding for a movie now.
Yeah, no, that's true.
That you don't.
Plus Skittles,
Coke. Coke. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
no, there's other brands in there too.
Right.
Yeah, sorry, go ahead.
Coca-Cola tried to do something similar. Again, another Bill Cosby movie with Leonard Part 6,
Ooh.
which is an awful. Leonard Part 6 starred Bill Cosby as like trying to do a James Bond parody.
That was bad. That was bad.
Yeah, but it doesn't know how to do parody, so it thinks, okay, well, we're going to parody James Bond. So what? Okay, he fights in ballerina shoes, and he rides an ostrich. Isn't that funny? Coca-Cola actually paid money for this movie.
I didn't know that, but
he uses. I'm not making. You think I'm making this up? At one point, Bill Cosby's character uses magical hot dogs as a weapon.
Wow.
And there's no explanation for why are hot dogs a weapon? Well, James Bond has, a pen that can be a grenade. How come a hot dog can't be a grenade? Like, it doesn't get how parody works in the slightest.
Well,
and nobody stopped to think, like, maybe this is not making sense. No, Coca-Cola's pumping more money into this. Just keep making it. I think it's the same with that, except this is a little more. This has a better movie to go off of.
Yeah.
And it's not trying to parody, it's trying to copy it. So at least it's competent.
That's true. But it makes you wonder what could have been. Like, had this been successful, would we have an extended McDonald's universe or Coca-Cola universe?
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, they wanted
crazy.
it to have a sequel, very obviously, at the end. So that's a good question.
I mean, it kind of just makes you wonder, why didn't they just do a Ronald McDonald movie? Like, they already have a character.
Yeah, that's
they already have a
That's
universe.
true.
They have the Hamburglar, there's a villain. They have a mayor. No, really, like in the 80s, like, it had all these, it doesn't do this anymore, but in the 80s, it was like every commercial was surrounded about a character. The hamburger was always stealing hamburgers. And
I used to always love those characters. It would have been, I think that might have been a more memorable movie. But I don't know that would have survived the test of time. I think that might have gone the way of the My Pet Monster movie.
Yeah.
No, but you're right.
Where they try to create something around a product. I mean, that's essentially what Transformers is.
True.
Or Pokemon.
And My Little Pony. Lots of properties.
It's not unheard of. But they were like, no, we need to do something smarter. and they failed epically.
That's too funny. Well, I guess, so this, unless you guys had more scenes you wanted to cover, I think I might ask you the last two questions I always ask my guests.
I think we pretty much talked about the whole movie.
Yeah, I agree. We covered it.
Or
and
what we've
we
seen
even
so
theorized, alternate endings. I mean, an extended universe. We went everywhere. So
right.
Well, usually I ask, why have you seen this so many times? I don't know how many times. Let me rephrase this. How many times are you watching it in order to come up with your event? Like, how many times do y'all typically watch a movie when you do this?
Well, we used to watch them over and over again, but we have a new system, thankfully, now where we go through it very slowly. So I guess we haven't even gotten through the whole thing once. Yeah.
not during this. I've seen it all the way through.
Yeah.
I've seen it when I was a kid. I saw it when Mr. Sinus Theater did it. Mr. Sinus Theater is in Austin, or now they're called Master Pancake, but they did a live riffing troupe with the Alamo at the very first Alamo Draft House back in Austin in
cool.
the 2000s. They did this movie, and then now I've seen it. Now I'm purposely watching it. I don't know if I mean this is how we do it is we watch it like a minute at a time and then go back and write jokes to
Sort
it.
of like a close reading, if you will. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
So we get jokes. I don't like the way we used to do it was we just watch the movie over and over again, like Liz said, and do jokes. And now we watch it a minute at a time. And I'm purposely not watching ahead so that my jokes, that my jokes are like in the moment, which is how you really know they're funny. Because if they get a laugh right away, then it's like, okay, then, or if they get a laugh from the other two, or in a writing session, then we know it's going to get a laugh from somebody in the audience.
And I remember quite a bit of what happened in the MST3K thing because when that came out, we, I watched it with my wife. I couldn't wait to see it when I saw that was one of the episodes because I remembered the movie and how I'd felt about it. So I couldn't wait to see this episode. I watched the episode. It became, if not my favorite episode, one of my favorite episodes. It's so incredibly funny. And but then when we introduced my kids to Mystery Science Theater 3000 using that episode, and they love it so much that from time to time I'll just wake up and that Mac and Me show episode of MST3K is on. They just put it on all the time.
That's fantastic.
I've seen it so many times, and as a family, anyone that's seen the episode will understand this, but as a family, we're always constantly going, pretty nice.
Oh my gosh. So do me and my husband. Pretty nice.
And my 7-year-old, my 8-year-old, one time when he was driving, my wife was driving, and Oliver was in the back of me, and he looked to the cars behind him, and he said, "Well, wow, it sure looks like there are a lot of cars out there." And so my wife answered with "pretty nice," and Oliver turned around to the front with a little smile, and he said, "I was hoping you'd say that."
See, it is kid friendly, and I love that your family likes it in this meta way.
It's more that Mystery Science Theater is kid friendly than I think the movie is.
True.
That's I had with my dad. We discovered Mystery Science Theater, and I was 10, and it was the Pod People.
Oh, nice.
Yes,
movie,
I thought about the Pod People a lot watching this one.
which is pretty close to this movie. An alien that can do stupid things.
You can do
befriends a kid,
things.
or the son of the alien son of an alien family.
Trumpy.
Trumpy, yes, does really dumb things.
Yeah, there's literally a scene where he goes Trumpy, and they're like, "You can do stupid things."
Stupid things, yeah. That's
such a great one. Yeah, I mean, I think this movie kind of lends itself to parody, whether that was intentional or not. and we look back on it maybe more fondly than we did, or maybe we have a personal connection like Liz did with it. That was her ET.
For me, it was a waste of my time. And I was 10. And all I did was waste my time.
I mean, I enjoyed it to the extent that I got a kick out of talking about it with friends. We'd talk about how much we didn't like, but we had a lot of laughs for sure.
For sure. And so I guess, normally I say, how do you pitch this movie? But instead, go ahead and pitch your event. Where can people buy tickets and where can people see it?
So October 6th, Thursday, October 6th, 9:15 p.m. at the Texas Theater. We're going to do a live riff and interactive roast. I don't remember if we explained this at the beginning, but so Liz, Albie, and I riff on the movie just like Joel and the Bots would on Mystery Science Theater. But there's an interactive element where we give the audience lines and we give the audience props to interact with the movie and make fun of the movie. Like a Rocky Horror screening, hence the name Mocky Horror Picture Show.
It's a lot of fun. I can attest. So,
and we give all the iconic moments to the audience.
Yeah, and you can buy tickets on the Texas Theater website, and We have a promo code where there's $2 off if you use the code Nice Teddy Bear.
All
It was
right.
between that and Pretty Nice. And Nice Teddy Bear was Nice Teddy Bear somehow rang better with Barack Epstein, who was the one that purchased it. That was a funny thing. We wanted to do. Can I say what we originally planned to do? Samurai Cop.
Ooh, nice.
Nice.
Because I had never heard of it. Well, we were the first movie we did at the Texas Theater, which was an amazing success, and thanks to everybody that supported us. We did Reefer Madness, which we got a restoration cut from the American Film Genre Archive, which saves movies like Reefer Madness and what else? And Deathbed, like all the like movies that would be lost. And Jason Dilworth told me about from Super Cool Nerd Show, told me about Samurai Cop, which I'd never seen, and I was like, this is perfect for us. And then Barack's like, well, I can get us Mac and Me. And we're all like, yeah, I'd rather watch Mac and Me.
Incredible. What a great get for sure.
Yes.
Yeah.
Which we didn't even think it's actually an MGM movie. So like it costs to screen it in a theater, you have to pay rights and things. And he's like, I'll pay for Mac and Me.
And we're like, yeah, let's do it.
Yeah, we're like, yeah, okay, great.
It's a built-in audience. I mean,
yeah, and this is our first one that isn't public domain or so we're excited.
Awesome. Well, and you guys can also find that in the show notes. I'll make sure there's a link there. Want to thank you three for coming on and
you can follow us at mockyhorror.com where we post daily content, and we're on TikTok too.
Oh,
now,
awesome.
Thanks to Albie. Albie convinced us to go to TikTok.
Yeah,
it's not just for teenage girls anymore. It's actually more fun than I thought it would be. So
yeah, I love TikTok. I'm a little too into it, but appreciate y'all for coming on and really do hope to have y'all back soon.
Thanks so much for having us.
Thanks for having us.
See y'all there.